Next up is A.R. Fiano, author of the Gabriel's World series, a New York-based author, teacher, and LGBT youth advocate. She has past careers in nonprofit advocacy, civil rights law, and teaching philosophy, law, and Eastern religion in various colleges. Wow, a lot of people here have like really varied careers. Fiano will read from her mystery novel, The Book of Joel, in which artist Joel McFadden is driven to face his traumatic past, including confronting a dangerous abuser and a notorious killer. With the help of his boyfriend, private investigator Gabriel Ross.
Thank you, Sheila.
Okay.
It's very empowering. In this scene, Gabriel is out on bail for a charge of murder he didn't commit, confined under house arrest. Meanwhile, Larry Meese, cop who set up Gabriel and who abused Joel as a teen, has been stalking Joel and his mother. Here, Joel is reuniting with Gabriel. Gabriel is lying on a double bed in the blue and white room, clad in a t-shirt and shorts. The monitor on his left ankle is small and thin, really a 2-inch strap with a black box the size of a flip phone on the outside. Joel sits next to him on the bed for a while, watching. Gabriel moves in his sleep then and wakes suddenly, looking over his shoulder as if for an attacker. Joel knows that feeling. Gabriel sees Joel and takes a moment to focus. They embrace each other. Gabriel brings Joel's face to his, taking him in. Eventually he asks, "How is Gloria? What happened?" Joel looks away for a moment. Some disturbing things. Mom wanted to get some papers out of the house and asked that detective, Dell, to go with her. While they were there, Dell saw Meese outside in his car. What did he do? He stayed in the car. Dell thought that was strange. While he looked out the window, Meese drove away. For him to leave when he saw Dell looking out. Right, I didn't like it. Dell kept trying to get me to talk to him like he's my substitute father or something. Bullshit. I took Mom back to the loft. I asked Chris to stay with her tonight, keep her distracted with stories about Area 51 or whatever. The darkness in Joel's face makes Gabriel concerned. Aside from what is going on about Meese, Gabriel senses Joel is holding himself back in his feelings. He must be a rage of emotions under the surface. Eventually, in the quiet of the room and the night, and being able to feel the safety of Gabriel's arms, Joel breaks down and cries some. They lie entwined on the bed until the tears have stopped. Gabriel asks, "Do you want to talk about anything?" "I don't know. Right now, I'm glad to be alone with you." Gabriel says, "I missed you so much. Life can be so unfair." Joel sits up and takes off his shoes. "Sometimes. But we're here now, right? Isn't that Buddhist?" "Yes, but Buddhism is not on my mind. You know that play, Bent? It was made into a movie with Clive Owen. My Uncle Dominic took me and Mom to see it. 2 gay men in a concentration camp. They love each other, but they can't look at each other or touch each other. They express themselves verbally to be sexual, really to be intimate. And they do that right in the middle of the camp with the guards watching. That couldn't be taken away. It was a victory, a triumph for them. This whole time locked up, I thought of that. And I talked to you as if you were there. I felt like that could be us, even if we weren't in the same place. We could be together. Thinking of that kept me sane. You got me here, not religion." Joel lies down again to be face to face with him. "What did you talk to me about?" What we did, what we would do. Not just sex, but sex makes me feel alive with you. I can't believe it makes such a difference, but it does." "I feel that too. You want to do something?" "Jesus, yes, but it's been a very trying day for us." "Maybe I need to. Gabriel keeps his hands on Joel's face. Joel moves his hands down Gabriel's body, feeling him responding. "Tell me what you said in jail, like in the movie," Joel says. Gabriel tells him. As Joel takes off his clothes, then Gabriel's, and sits on Gabriel's legs, he brings his hands down, stroking them together, a very intimate, low-key act, but intense. Then Gabriel eventually gently pulls Joel down beside him and moves his mouth down Joel's body and stays there for some time. Joel closes his eyes and just feels. Gabriel pauses to say to him, "You asked me not long ago if I remembered our first weekend together. What do you remember?" That's it.
Thank you. Okay, so our final reading of the evening is from Dr. Herukhuti, an emerging voice in bisexuality studies. It's helping people understand the complexities and power relations embedded in sexuality, race, gender, class, and culture through his writing, lectures, performances, and workshops. He is Chief Erotics Officer, CEO, of the Center for Culture, Sexuality, and Spirituality, and Editor-in-Chief of SacredSexualities.org. He plans to read the powerful preface to Recognize the Voices of Bisexual Men, co-edited with longtime bi activist Robin Oakes. Am I pronouncing it right? As long as I've known you, somehow, I never quite get it.
You got it.
Okay. Recognize is not only the first anthology of bisexual men's writing that is punctuated with bi men's visual art, there is a very diverse representation of bisexual masculinities across ethnicities, generations, and nationalities. And you saw that art up here as you were coming in, or waiting for the program to start, as the case may be. So I'd like to welcome Herukhuti to the stage.
Recognize, verb. Identify someone or something from having encountered them before, know again. Acknowledge the existence, validity, or legality of. Synonyms: acknowledge, accept, admit. It can be difficult to recognize all of yourself, particularly if you haven't yet encountered all of your parts, facets, and nuances. For me, the difficulty was not because I hadn't encountered all of me, but rather I didn't see anyone in the world like me. When it came to love and desire, I didn't recognize myself in others. Before I entered the second grade, I had a boyfriend and a girlfriend and had experimented sexually with both. I had no name for what these experiences meant for me. I could only recognize how they made me feel. Good. But that's where my recognition would remain for some time. It can be harder still to get the world around you to recognize all of you when there are parts of you it has yet to encounter. But once you have put together a substantial body of who you are and demanded that the world acknowledge and accept your existence and validity, they had better recognize. Or there will be consequences. The sites in which those consequences manifest include boardrooms and bedrooms, street corners and salad bars, conferences and cabins. For a bisexual man, those consequences can be experienced as microaggressions and assaults on his humanity that daily slice away at the spirit. They crisscross along the contours and perturbations of the body, in some cases creating reservoirs of mistrust, guilt, resentment, and rage. And in other cases, the promise of redemption and transformation. I was nearly 20 years old when my spiritual teacher, a father figure at the time to me for a decade, attempted to marry me off to another student, a woman, to ensure his, quote, son won't become one of those homosexuals, end quote. The engagement didn't last long, but my capacity to love and desire people across a variety of genders did. Recognition is an unfolding and continuous process that requires us to remember the parts of ourselves that we have lost, forgotten, or had silenced. Being a bisexual man in a world dominated by straight or gay thinking, I continue to resist the pressure to conform to one or the other, while I continue to question my own sensibilities. Are my sensibilities bisexual enough? Am I a straight or gay man in bisexual drag? Oftentimes, like when I first agreed to co-edit this anthology, I will have an experience that reminds me of the capacities for love and desire that I have carried since I was a child. Those moments bring the recognition and with it the dynamic tension I have with a world that does not truly recognize the complexities of being bisexual and male. To recognize ourselves as bisexual men, therefore, is a queer reclamation, in that it frequently means that we are reclaiming lost or forgotten parts of our stories, our desires, and ourselves. But how can you lose or forget yourself? In a world that leaves little room for you to exist, it can be very easy, albeit painful, to get lost or forgotten, even within your own gaze, and in collaboration with forces that have pushed your sense of self aside and rendered you fabrication, foil, or folly. Loving and living every day in the in-between spaces of the sexual landscape, the walls that have been built and policed to maintain the just order of sexual conformity, can crowd out the space needed to love and desire as one is moved to do. I invite bisexual men to consider the name of this anthology, Recognize, as a call to recognize ourselves as well as a demand that others recognize us. Hopefully, you, my brothers, will recognize yourself in your brothers here, even if their voices don't exactly match yours. Let the voices contained within this book call us to recognize who we've been, who we are, who we're working to become, who we will become. Let the voices call us to be vigilant in recognizing each other. So let the next voice you hear be your own. Recognize.